is going to be 8 minutes. Stand by, please. Right. This is Jose with Warner Brothers.
Guy, when did you decide to tackle this legend and why?
I was most influenced by King Arthur, the John Boorman movie back in 1980 or whatever. And since then, I picked up tidbits of different creative expressions, movies, short films, music videos, commercials. And eventually, one thing would lead to another where I felt as though I had enough ammunition and enough, I thought I could find myself a tone by putting all these different components together and not make the kind of conventional station wagon of a movie and make it feel a bit more of a sort of, not, I want to say it's Ferrari, but I'll go sort of, let's call it a Range Rover. You know, it would be good off-road and good on-road.
What is the story that you're telling here?
The story is essentially about, there's two words, there's the esoteric version, which I'll deal with, and then I'll talk about the one that really everyone cares about, which is that it's man's ascension from himself. So he's completely dependent on his environment, other people's opinions of him, and that's him as a pauper. And then through a slow ascension on the ladder of evolution, he becomes more and more independent and liberated from the external world, and he becomes a king. And a king is a man that's in charge of his own kingdom. So that's the esoteric version. The more obvious version is simply a man becoming a leader and galvanizing his people. You can probably tell which one I find more interesting. But you know, entertainment's entertainment. So I like there to be a nice something nutritious in the middle of the sandwich, but lots of flavour and tasty sour bread on the outside.
Charlie's wonderful in this role. What can you say about him and your experience working with him?
Charlie is a wonderful professional, very technical as an actor, knows just when to take things seriously and when not to. Takes direction very well, has great ideas of his own. I must say, you know, I've seldom worked with a more talented and pleasurable individual.
But the film wouldn't work if he weren't set up against a formidable villain. And there you have another great actor. Yeah,
well, you're right. It doesn't work unless you've got a formidable villain. So Jude, who I've made a couple of movies with before, Jude I already have a shorthand with. So it made sense for Jude and I to sort of collaborate on this one. He was my sort of go-to guy for that role. I just felt as though there was a sort of correlation, there was a similarity between Jude and Charlie.
I found that you really got the tone right, and I think this movie is a lot about tone. This is an entertaining movie. It's not too solemn. Of course, it is dramatic at times. There's also some humor in it. How important was that for you to get the right tone?
Tonality was everything. And I was aware of that from the beginning. I mean, I've seen people make these films before and I've disliked them because I thought the tone was inconsistent or uninteresting. So my principal task was to find a consistency of tone ultimately, so you'd feel as though the film was made by a filmmaker, if you will, and that you were taken on a journey and that you weren't bounced out of that journey by an inconsistency of tone.
And at the same time, just to wrap it up, I think you've made a movie that is also relatable and accessible to a contemporary audience.
I hope so. I hope so. The whole idea was to make it accessible to a contemporary audience.
How much have you enjoyed it?
I've enjoyed it enormously. I mean, I pretty much, you know, love making movies, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'd probably make them for nothing if push came to shove, if I could afford to. It really is very pleasurable, and this one was exceptionally pleasurable.
Would you like to continue it?
There's nothing more I'd like than to go back and make another one of these.